Greetings. If you're new here, my name is Nikki. Welcome to my channel where we get nerdy. Today, according to the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be discussing what books I intend to read for the Our Fantasy 2023 bingo board. So, in front of me, I have my notebook with all of the spaces and the tentative titles for those spaces. If you do not know what Our Fantasy is, it's the Reddit subreddit. It is the subreddit for just fantasy books and shows and whatnot. And every year they do a bingo board. They release it in April and it goes until March 31st of the following year. Rules are you cannot duplicate an author and you can only have one reread. You could also substitute a square from the bingo board of this year with a past bingo board. And I think it's basically like the rules. There is a hard mode, which I will say what the hard mode is for the prompts as I go through them. So, and I will be, here's the big bingo board. And as I go through the lines, I will put just like that specific row up on the screen. So row 1, we have title with a title. So this is read a book with the title having a job or military title in the title. So things like, of course I'm not going to think of something off the top of my head. Heart of the Sun Warrior. Warrior's a title. Bone Shard Emperor. Emperor's a title. The hard mode for this is not a title of royalty. So the Grace of Kings would not fit the hard mode. Square 2. So my pick for title with a title, I'm not doing hard mode, and I'm going with The Girl King by Mimi Yu. Square 2 is Superheroes, a story focused on superpowered individuals. The hard mode for this is not DC or Marvel. Again, I am not going with the hard mode, and I'm going to do Eternals, the 500-Year War by Marvel. This is a webcomic or webtoon or whatever you want to technically call it. It makes it so much easier. Number 3, we have Bottom of the TBR. Read one of the books that has been at the bottom of your to-be-read pile the longest. Hard mode, there isn't one. Just finishing a book that you've been putting off is hard enough. Hi, editing Nikki here. Just coming in to say that I completely forgot to say what book I'm reading for the bottom of my TBR prompt. I'm going to be picking up Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the book 1, Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. So, yeah, it's on my list. I just apparently forgot to say which one. Back to previous Nicole. Number 4, we have magical realism or literary fantasy. Read a book that portrays magic or unreal elements in an otherwise realistic or mundane environment. Hard mode, not one of the 30 books linked in this thread, and then there's a link. So I decided to go with City of Beasts by Isabel Allende. It was funny because I was reading the synopsis for it to see if it would fit one of the other squares, and it literally said at the bottom, magical realism in the blurb, and I'm just like, never mind. We're doing this for magical realism because I was struggling with this prompt. And then number 5, young adult. Read a book written for young adults. Hard mode published in the last 5 years, which we're actually going to meet the hard mode with this one, and we're doing Iron Widow by Jiren J. Zhao. So there's row number 1. Our second row, box number 6, is mundane jobs. The protagonist has a commonplace job that can be found in the real world, so no princes or monster hunters. We're also excluding soldiers because that's extremely prominent in SFF. Hard mode does not take place on Earth. For this, I'm going with The House Witch by Delimanche. The main character is a chef. So, number 7, we have read a book published between 2000 and 2009. Hard mode not in the top 30 of Fantasy's best of 2023 list. So I'm going with a book that was recommended to me, and that is Fairy Wars by Herbie Brennan. So I don't know much about it. I just know it was what year it was published, and it's like 07 or something like that. Next, for square number 8, we have Angels and Demons. Story must feature angels, demons, or both in a prominent role. Hard mode, the protagonist is an angel or demon. So technically, I believe they were counting like halflings. Like if they got special powers from their angel or demon ancestry, it counts for hard mode. So I'm going with, just insert Shadowhunter book here. Like, so City of Bones, City of Ashes, all of those by Cassandra Clare fit. So it doesn't really matter which one I put there. Square number 9, 5 short stories. Any short sci-fi fantasy story, as long as there's 5 of them. Hard mode, read an entire SFF anthology or collection. So I'm going with 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, edited by Ellen O. and Elise Chapman. This is an anthology of Asian mythology retellings. So like technically they're retellings, but they're fantasy, so I'm counting it. Like, I'm not actually going to submit my bingo board to the contest, so it doesn't really matter. Just going to do what I want. Within reason. Number 10, we have horror. Read a book from the horror genre. Hard mode, not Stephen King or H.P. Lovecraft. I was debating on doing Poe for a while. But then I decided to do The Deep by Alma Katsu. So, I've had it forever and never read it. So, on to row number 3. So, first one, square 11, we are at self-published or indie author. Self-explanatory. Hard mode, self-published has fewer than 100 ratings on Goodreads, or an indie publisher that has done an AMA with our fantasy. I don't know if the book I read for this has less than 100 ratings. All right. It has 656 ratings, so I don't get hard mode, but I am counting Cursed Cocktails by S.L. Rowland that we did for the first chapter challenge. I am reading it still. Square number 12, set in the Middle East or a Middle Eastern SFF. Read a book set in the Middle East or in an analogous setting that is based on real-world Middle Eastern settings, myths, and culture. Hard mode, author is of Middle Eastern heritage. Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chakshi. Because middle grade will be a lot easier to fly through than an adult fantasy. Square number 13, we have published in 2023. A book published for the first time in 2023. No reprints or new editions. Hard mode is its debut novel. I don't know if the one I picked is debut or not. But we're going with, I don't think it is. It's not debut. Pretty sure it isn't. But anyways, we're going with The Shadow of Perseus by Claire Haywood. And then, square number 14, we are at multiverses and alternate realities. Read a book in which the setting contains at least 2 universes, dimensions, planes, realities, etc. that characters within the book can travel between. Multiple worlds in the same physical plane of existence, such as planets within a universe, would not count for this square. Hard mode. Characters do not walk through a literal door to get to another world. Is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Number 15, we have POC author. Author must be a person of color. Hard mode. Novel takes place in a futuristic sci-fi world. Note, this is now a recurring yearly square, but the hard mode will be changing every year. So, for me, POC author, I am going to do my bearded dragon. I don't know if you can hear it. She's peeling, so she's like rubbing up on everything in her cage, and she's super loud. I'm sorry if you can hear it. So for POC author, I'm going with Dragon Pearl by Yoon-ha Lee. Or Yoon-ha-e, because they are Korean. For row number 4 is what we're on next. So square number 16 is book club or read-along book. Any past or active R Fantasy book clubs, as well as past or active R Fantasy read-alongs. Note, all of the current book club info can be found on our Goodreads page. This is where I'm going to break the rules. Hard mode is must read a current selection of either a book club or read along to participate in the discussion. This is where I'm breaking it. I didn't even look at their read alongs at all or their book clubs. I'm just going to go with the book club I'm already in, and that's Chelsea's Patreon. And I'm putting in this spot in The Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland, because I really don't want to do more book clubs or read-alongs at the moment. All right, so for square number 17, we have novella. Read a work of fiction between 17,500 and 40,000 words. Hard mode, novella is not published by Tor.com, which I can't even find mine that I read. It is. Okay, it's by Tor.com. I'm putting in A Mirror Mended by Alex E. Harrow. It is by Tor.com, so I can't count it for hard mode, but I'm still doing it. Number 18, we're at mythical beasts. Read a book that predominantly features at least one mythical beast, meaning a creature that does not exist in reality. Hard mode, no dragons or dragon-like creatures. Example being wyverns. So for me, I'm going to go with The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim. I don't know exactly what mythical beasts are in this book, but in the synopsis it says that the main character runs into mythical beasts, so we're counting it. Or mythical creatures, so I'm counting it. I'm excited. Score number 19, we are at read a book that has elemental magic. The primary magic within the world deals with the classical elements earth, air, wind, air/wind, fire, and water. Hard mode, not V.E. Schwab's Shades of Magic or Jim Butcher's Codex Alera. I own both of them, but we're not going with them. I'm going with Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. I know she has fire magic. So, number 20, we have Myth and Retelling. A book based in myth or a pre-existing story. Hard mode, not Greek or Roman. For this, I'm going to go with Race to the Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. I believe this is Navajo based, or Cherokee. It's a Native American retelling myth. I don't know what to technically count it as, but it fits. Like, it's a Rick Riordan Presents, so I'm counting it. Row number 5 and square number 21 is Queer Norm Setting, a book in a world where queerness is normalized, accepted, and prevalent within the communities. Characters are not othered, ostracized, or particularly remarkable in any way for their queerness. Hard mode, not a futuristic setting, takes place in a time akin to ours in the past or in a fantasy world that has no science fiction elements. And I believe my pick is hard mode. I'd have to double check. And I'm going with Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Number 22, we have Coastal or Island Setting. Story features a major setting that is near or surrounded by the sea. Hard mode, the book also features seafaring. For this, I'm going with The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. Druids is going to be square number 23, and that is a book that heavily features druids. This can be a classical druid, a priest, or a magician in Celtic lore, or a magic user whose powers stem from nature. Hard mode, not the Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn. This one threw me for a loop because I have the first book in the Iron Druid Chronicles, but I didn't want to do it. And I posted in the thing about, I have an idea for a book, but I'm not sure if it technically counts as druid. This is the brief idea. And someone commented, like, I would totally count that. Nature, magic, and spirit animals, yep, count it. So I'm going with Spirit Animals by Brandon Mull. And then for square 24, we have Featuring Robots. Read a book that features robots, androids, clockwork machines, or automatons. Hard mode, the robot is the protagonist. So I was like debating over this one, humming and hawing, like, do we count mechs as robots? Because I was thinking Iron Widow, or reading Darling in the Franxx, something like that. But I didn't think it fit well enough, so I'm going to use my substitution here, and I'm going to substitute robots for Mental Health Rep from the either 2020 or 2021 board. I can't remember exactly which. And I'm going with Blade of Secrets by Trisha Levenseller. Here our protagonist has social anxiety, so it fits. And then lastly, square number 25, a sequel. Read a book that is sequel to another SFF book. Hard mode, book 3 or on in the series. And for this, I'm going to finish up a duology that I've been needing to finish up for like 2 years, and that is All the Tides of Fate by Adeline Grace. So that's what I have for my R Fantasy bingo that I'm going to be working on through the next year. Like the video if you did, comment down below if you're going to participate and what books you plan on reading. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and until next time, you are loved and you are valid.